Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what literally has to be the most improbable survival story in the history of our planet. We're going to talk about how early humans somehow managed to conquer a world that was absolutely packed with terrifying biological killing machines. I mean, by all logical accounts, we shouldn't be here, but we are. And the story of how our ancestors went from being actively hunted to completely dominating the globe is just absolutely fascinating. Okay, I want you to drop yourself right into this exact scenario. You're walking through some tall grass. It's 100,000 years ago. The sun is setting. Suddenly, you hear something rustle behind you. You turn around, and there are two yellow eyes reflecting the very last bit of daylight. You are staring down a cave lion. Now, this isn't a modern lion. This is a creature twice the size of any lion alive today. 700 pounds of muscle, claws, and teeth looking directly at you. And you have no gun, no knife. Actually, you don't even have a sharp stick. You can't outrun it, you definitely can't outclimb it, and you have zero chance of fighting it. So, how in the world are you still here? To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at our massive biological flaws. Because by every single biological measure, we should have gone extinct. Just think about our closest relative, the chimpanzee. A chimp is 3 times stronger than an adult human. They have massive fangs, they can scale 30 feet up a tree in seconds, and you know what? They still get killed by leopards on a regular basis. And us? Well, we were slower, we were weaker, we had flat, useless teeth and fragile nails, our night vision was terrible, our sense of smell was nothing special, and our hearing was just kind of mediocre. To make matters worse, our upright posture basically acted like a giant billboard on the savannah. Oh, and our babies scream constantly and can't even walk for a whole year. We were quite literally the perfect defenseless snack. And the crazy thing is, for millions of years, that's exactly what we were. Prey. Back in 1924, Raymond Dart uncovered this chilling discovery in South Africa, a skull belonging to a 3-year-old early human ancestor. Punctured right through the eye sockets were 2 holes, perfectly spaced to match the canine teeth of a leopard. That wasn't some tragic freak accident. We were firmly on the menu. We spent millions of years hiding in trees, running from shadows, constantly hunted by apex killers that were biologically perfected to take down large mammals. Just to put into perspective what was out there, imagine a predator weighing in at a staggering 2,000 pounds. That was the short-faced bear, the absolute largest mammalian land predator in North America. When this thing stood up on its hind legs, it was 12 feet tall. And unlike most modern bears that graze on berries and fish, this was a hyper-carnivore. It only ate meat. It had these incredibly long legs built for endurance and could sprint at 40 miles per hour. If a short-faced bear spotted an early human, it was basically game over. The physical mismatch is honestly mind-boggling. Your jaw right now has a bite force of about 162 pounds per square inch. The nocturnal cave hyena, 1,100 pounds per square inch. That is enough pressure to effortlessly crush massive bones, just slurp out the marrow inside. And they hunted in these relentless, coordinated packs of 20 or more, mostly in the pitch black when humans were completely blind. Literally everywhere our ancestors went, whether it was packs of 30 dire wolves or 10-foot-tall terror birds with skull-shattering beaks down in South America, something was actively trying to eat us. Section 1. The first weapon, controlled fire. So how did we finally fight back? Well, this absolute game-changer dates back roughly 1 million years to Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, where archaeologists found ancient hearths, ash, and burned bones. This was the exact turning point for our entire species. A simple campfire miraculously creates a 30-foot diameter safety barrier. Think about that, 30 feet of absolute security in a world full of monsters. Predators, no matter how massive or starving they are completely hardwired to avoid fire. Even today, a hungry lion won't cross that line. This gave us a literal fortress of light and warmth in completely unforgiving climates our hairless bodies were never built for. But here is where it gets really incredible. Fire didn't just keep us safe from the cave hyenas and saber-tooths, it quite literally altered our evolutionary trajectory. Before fire, when the sun set, you hid and stayed perfectly still, just praying you wouldn't get eaten. But with fire, suddenly you had 3 to 4 extra hours every single night. That's time to communicate, build language, plan, and craft better tools. Even more importantly, fire let us cook our meat. Cooked meat is way easier to digest, which means more calories. And those extra calories were the exact fuel our bodies needed to grow massive, highly advanced brains. Section 2, endurance and intellect.
Of course, we couldn't stay huddled around the campfire forever. A saber-toothed cat could hit 30 miles per hour in 3 seconds flat. We tap out at around 28 miles per hour, and we can barely hold that for a short sprint. But evolution handed us a completely different, highly unexpected trick. It's called persistence hunting, and humans are the only species on Earth that can actually pull this off. We are terrible sprinters, sure, but we are incredible marathoners. Instead of trying to outrun an animal at full speed, early humans would just track it at a steady jog. You follow it for 3, 4, maybe 6 hours. The animal sprints away, stops, overheats, and has to run again. Because most animals are covered in fur, they can't sweat like we do. They literally cannot cool down while moving. So eventually, the prey just collapses from heat stroke. And the human? We just stroll right up and finish the hunt. Sweating literally allowed us to run faster animals to death. And all those extra calories fueling our brains, they unlocked incredible pattern recognition. We started seeing patterns everywhere. A broken twig meant a predator walked by. Disturbed dirt meant something was digging. We took those exact tracking skills and weaponized them against the monsters hunting us. We memorized their schedules. We figured out that saber-tooths like to ambush near water at dusk, or that short-faced bears were highly solitary and territorial. We watched, we remembered, we shared this intel, and we actively turned the tables by simply avoiding their hunting zones altogether. Section 3, the power of community. Honestly, all the tracking and fire in the world wouldn't have saved us without this next crucial piece. This is probably our most beautiful and least expected weapon. It wasn't a sharper rock. It was our profound, deep capacity for compassion. The archaeological evidence for this is just profoundly moving. It completely separates us from every other creature. In Dmanisi, Georgia, researchers unearthed a 1.8 million-year-old skull of an early human who had lost all of their teeth years before they died. No teeth means you can't chew raw meat or process tough roots. That means the rest of the group was actively chewing food for this elder, or cooking it until it was soft enough to eat. We see the exact same thing in Shanidar Cave in Iraq. A 60,000-year-old Neanderthal skeleton was found with a healed broken arm, blindness in one eye, and severe arthritis. He couldn't hunt. He definitely couldn't fight. Yet, his community protected him and kept him alive until he was about 40 years old. And that brings us to the absolute core of our success. A lion with no teeth dies. A human with no teeth gets taken care of. Unlike animal packs that are driven purely by survival instinct, we strategically cared for our weak and our elderly. And it wasn't just some random act of kindness, it was literally our ultimate survival strategy. We kept our elders alive because they were the encyclopedias of our community. They held all that generational knowledge, the patterns, the seasons, the survival tactics, that the entire group's survival totally depended on. Section 4, becoming the apex predator. Now, when you combine that sprawling intellect, our endless endurance, and these fiercely cooperative communities, everything changes. This is where we transition from desperately trying to survive the night to actively conquering the food chain. Fast forward to 400,000 years ago in Germany. Archaeologists discovered the Schöningen spears. These weren't just pointy sticks. These were aerodynamically perfect, brilliantly balanced wooden throwing spears designed to kill from 30 feet away. 30 feet. That is a distance no predator could ever defend against. 5 humans, communicating complex plans with language, armed with aerodynamic spears, could take down a 600-pound saber-toothed cat before it even got close. This was the exact moment we stopped running. We became the hunters. And when you look at how this timeline builds, the results are staggering. Around 50,000 years ago, human global migration really kicks off out of Africa, and almost immediately, the world's most terrifying apex predators start rapidly vanishing. Cave lions? Gone 14,000 years ago. The massive short-faced bear? Extinct 11,000 years ago. The saber-toothed cat? Gone 10,000 years ago, along with giant sloths, woolly mammoths, and terror birds. Now, experts do debate the exact split between human hunting and climate change, but the pattern is absolutely undeniable. Everywhere humans showed up, the megafauna disappeared shortly after. We didn't just survive the monsters in the dark. We completely outlasted them. We outthought them, and ultimately, we eliminated them. Those massive fangs, those bone-crushing jaws, that terrifying speed, none of it could evolve fast enough to counter a species that could throw deadly weapons from afar, coordinate complex traps, and completely pivot its strategy in the middle of a hunt. It all comes down to this ultimate trade-off. Evolution handed every other predator a specific, static physical advantage. Unmatched speed, brute strength, lethal venom, perfect camouflage, but it gave humans something infinitely more powerful, absolute adaptability.
We couldn't outrun a short-faced bear, so we invented the spear to strike from a distance. We couldn't outbite a cave hyena, so we banded together in strategic communities. We were blind in the dark, so we tamed fire and turned the night into day. Every single biological weakness we had literally forced us to invent a solution. And because we could teach our children, those solutions compounded, generation after generation.
For 2 million years, we were prey. We hid in the shadows, grieving our losses, terrified of the dark. But we possessed the one trait no predator could match, the ability to learn from our mistakes. Evolution armed them with every physical weapon imaginable, but it armed us with boundless adaptability. So I'll leave you with this to ponder. If that exact same adaptability allowed a weak, slow, perfectly defenseless primate to completely conquer a world of apex killers, what modern threats will our incredible capacity to learn help us conquer next? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking questions and never, ever underestimate the sheer power of human resilience.